Hello learners, welcome back to the Discrete Mathematics lecture series. I'm Kirti Sharma, working as an assistant professor in St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management, Gurugram. Today in this lecture series, we will discuss the introduction to set theory. So up to now we have covered the according to your syllabus unit 3 and unit 4. Up to now we have covered the unit 3 and unit 4 of your syllabus, and now from this lecture onwards I'm starting the unit 1, in which we will discuss the set theory. So firstly we have to discuss the introduction part to the set theory, in which we will discuss different representation of the sets, how to represent the sets in the set builder form and tabular form, and various types of the sets, operations that we can apply on the sets, algebra of the sets, then multi-sets, then different operations on the multi-sets. How can you distinguish sets, normal sets with the multi-sets? Then after we will study the Cartesian product. So in this manner we will cover all these things regarding the set theory. So let's start with the introductory part of the set theory. So basically this set theory is introduced by the German mathematician G. Cantor. So he introduced the set theory, and he defined a set as a collection of definite and distinguishable objects selected by the means of certain rules and description. So he just defined the set as a collection, like a collection of the object should be definite and distinguishable, right? So unique it should be. There could not be any repetitive object. There should not be any repetitive objects in that collection, and this collection is done by following some rules and description. Okay, so next thing is about the set theory. Like, it forms a basis of several other fields of study, like relation, graph theory, counting theory, finite state machines. These are the that we will cover different aspects of the set theory that we covered throughout the subject of the discrete mathematics. So each and every topic have the application of the set theory here, right? So as we have already covered, like graph theory and counting theory, like graph theory and Boolean algebra. So in that we have studied like set theory should be there. So for the set definitions, the formal definition of the set is, a set is an unordered collection of distinct objects, right? So it should be the unordered collection of the distinct objects, or you can say well defined collection of the elements, right? So in that manner you can give the formal definition of the set. For example, a set of the all positive integers is also a set, because there are distinguished elements in the set, all, and it is a collection of rules, integers itself. So it's a set example for the set. So here's all states in India. So definite and distinguishable. So we are just writing the all the sets in the India of India in India in a set here. So these are the examples. I think very basic things are there. You already studied these things in your school time also. So two types of representation are possible in the set theory: roster or tabular form and set builder form. So what about the roster or tabular form here? Roster or tabular form, in which the set is represented in the listed form, listing of the objects or elements, you can say. So the elements are enclosed within the braces and separated by the commas. So this is the explicit notation as it's shown in the example here. So set of vowels in the English alphabet, like A is a set here, which is equals to some elements. These are the five vowels that I have mentioned here in the curly braces. So it's the representation of a set. So it's the tabular representation actually. Set of odd numbers less than 10. So B is the name of the set, and this curly braces consist of the five values that are the odd numbers less than 10 positive odd numbers, right? So it's the tabular representation. Next, set builder notation represents the generalized way, like whatever you are writing in explanatory way, you have to generalize it. Okay, so if you're writing the set of vowels, so I'm indicating here A is a set which consists of X element, and that X consists of what? Vowels in English alphabet, right? That means we are giving the summary or in the generalized form. So it's very simple, like 5 elements are there. If I mentioned the set of 100 integers, so in the tabular form you have to write 1 2 3 4 5 6 up to 100, but in the generalized form or in the set builder form you can write it within a line, like within a few words. So that's the difference between tabular and set builder representation. So next is we have example like includes, like belongs to and not belongs to symbol is here. This is a belongs to symbol, and if you cross this not belongs to, what it's mean, if you want to check it out like any element is present in a set or not. Like I have mentioned here, 1 belongs to S. What it's mean, 1 is any element and S is the name of the set. Is 1 belongs to S or not? Yes, 1 belongs to, that means it's true. But 1.5 I mentioned here, not belongs to S. 1.5 is not available in the set, that's why not belongs to symbol. Okay, so in English you generally use these two words, belongs to, not belongs to. It's same, it's having the same meaning here. Like if you want to cross check like any element is present in the set or not, so for that purpose you have to use this particular symbol. Next, some important sets are there, like N, capital N is representing set of all natural numbers. Z is representing set of all integer numbers. Z positive is indicating all positive integers, and Q representing rational numbers. R representing real numbers, and W is for the whole numbers. So all these are the important sets that are available. Next, we have some cardinality of the sets. What are the cardinality? Basically, it is represented with by these symbols. So, if you will write the separate symbol and in between them, the symbol you have written the set name. So, it is indicating the cardinality of a set. Cardinality is nothing much like it's a number of set of elements available in a set. Like for example, this is a set, right? So here 4 elements are available in the set, right? So what is the cardinality of the set? 4. Number of elements present in a set is known as cardinality of the set. That's it. Okay. So next is types of the sets. So we have some types of the set, different types of the sets that we have to discuss here. Like finite set. As its name indicating, set contains definite number of the elements. What it's mean? You are having the number as shown in the example. Like x is a variable. This is a set builder form of the set, right? So x is any variable here that we are defining. Like every x, like x is any element here. Like every element that belongs to the n. N is a natural number set. So how many natural numbers you have to collect over here? Greater than 50 and less than 70. So what it's mean, you have to collect all the elements or all the natural numbers in between 50 to 70. So it's a finite set, right? So we can evaluate like how many numbers are available in that particular set. That means finite, as its name indicating. Next is infinite. So if I'm writing here in example, like x belongs to the natural number, but x must be the greater than 10. It will be greater than 10, but how, up to what value? There is no any definition indication here. So up to infinity. So x element value can vary from 11 to infinity. So that's why it's known as infinite set. Next is subset. It's important to know, like subset is a like x is a subset of y. How you can say x is a subset of y? If every element of x set present in the as an element of the y, like x element example is shown here. This is a representation, like x and y, two sets are here, and y is a subset of x here. This is the symbol to indicate like y is a subset of x, right? So in this example, like each and every element of y is present in x. Yes, present. That's why y is a subset of x. In the next example also, like if both are the equal, like number of elements and values of those elements, I'm talking about, not number, like values of those elements, whatever is present here, like 1 2 3, exactly same number of values are present in the x, then also you have to mention like it's a subset itself, right? So either both the sets could be same, values could be same, then after also we can say x is a subset of y and y is a subset of x. That's why in that manner you also can do, both are the equal sets, that we will study later, the definition of the equal set. So how many total number of subsets can be possible for a set of n elements? 2 raised to power n. 2 raised to power n number of subsets can be possible for a set with n number of elements. Okay. So here, how many subsets are possible for the first one example? There are 5 numbers and here 2, right? So if I want to find out like for the x, how many number of subsets are possible? Total numbers are 5. So 2 raised to power 5, 32 subsets are possible for that particular set x. Okay. So next is proper subset. There is a minor difference between subset and proper subset. So what it is actually, it's represented by this symbol. X is a subset of y and proper subset of y, and this one, if I'm putting equal symbol here, that means it's a subset, and this one is proper subset. So proper subset definition says like each and every element of y must present in the x itself, right? But they should not be equal, right? Cardinality of like number of elements present in x must be less than y, right? If I'm taking here an example, x is an set which consists of 3 elements, y is a set that consists of 4 elements. Here I'm saying x is a proper subset of y. Yes, x is a proper subset of y. So we can say x is a subset of y. Yes. So every proper subset is a subset, but vice versa may or may not be possible, right? I hope it is clear. If both are equal, for example, I'm considering here in this example, x is a set which consists of ABC elements, y is a set which consists of ABC element, right? So we are checking it out here, like x is a proper subset or not. No, x is not a proper subset, but it's a subset itself. Okay, so this is a difference between subset and proper subset. In proper subset, they both the sets cannot have the same values. Okay, so that's the difference between subset and proper subset. Next is universal set. I'm just editing here. This is universal set. Okay, so what is a universal set? As its name indicating, like collection of all the elements in a particular context. So all the elements throughout the surrounding or environment present is called a universal set. What it's mean actually? If I'm saying here like universal set x indicating this is also set builder representation, all the sets under discussion, or for coin you can say, if you're doing toss for a coin, then what will be the universal set? Head, tail. So what it's mean? Every time it will repeat either head or tail. Next is empty or null set. So if it doesn't contain any element is known as the empty set or null set. It is interpreted by the pi symbol. So if I'm taking here an example, this is a null set symbol. If you are writing here with this null symbol within a curly braces, then it is not an empty set. Mark this point, it's important to know. If this pi is written in between the curly braces, then it is the it will be considered as an element of a set. So it will not be null set. It is known as singleton set. If only one element present in a set, then it is known as singleton set. If no any element present, then you can either write the null or phi, or you can show it by the empty curly braces. Okay, so what about the equal sets? Next, if same elements are present in two sets, then it is known as equal sets. For example, A is consist of 1, 2, 6. B consists of 6, 1, 3, 6, 1, 2. Here, number of elements are same. Here, order doesn't matter. Like 1 is coming at the first element and 2 is coming as the second element. Here, 1 is coming as the second element, 2 is as the third element. So, number doesn't matter here. The values, whatever is present, that should be same. Like number of elements that are present in both the sets, that should be same. Okay. So, every element A is in B, and element values whatever is present in the A, it must be in B, and B consists of any number of element, it must be in A. So it was all about equal set. Next is equivalent set. Both are different things. In equal sets, we have to take like the cardinality as well as the values whatever is written in between the both the sets must be same. Here in equivalent sets, only we have to cross check the cardinality of the both the sets. Like number of values present in both the sets must be equal. Values doesn't matter. Values may differ. So that is the difference between equal sets and equivalent sets. Next is overlapping set. overlapping set is basically at least one common element should be there in between both the sets. So 1 to 6, 6, 12, 18. So 6 is common in both the sets. That's why it's known as overlapping set. Next is important one, power set. What do you mean by power set? It's a family of all subsets, whatever the possibility of subset. If I'm saying here A is a set here which consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 elements. I've told you what could be the total number of possible subsets, 2 raised to power n. And what is the value of n? 5. So total 32 subsets can be possible for this example for the set A. What it means? It's a collection of or family of all the subsets. So family of all those 32 subsets is called as a power set itself. Okay. So power set of A is indicated here like X is a subset of A itself, right? So already I have mentioned this thing. Same thing, number of elements present in the power set. It will be 2 raised to power n itself. Why is it so? Because we are writing the total subsets now. So if total number of possible subsets are 2 raised to power n, then power set elements will be also 2 raised to power n, right? So this is a generalized way, like if number of power sets of A with key elements is there, then you can write like how to find the number of power sets of A with the key elements NCK, right? So you can write it over here. This is the formula, you can find it out. Next is example to understand this thing, like A is the set of element in the power set will be 2 raised to power 4, 16. So number of elements of key elements, that why I have taken this example. Key value is 3 here. So number of subsets with 3 elements. So possibility you have to check it out. So any of the 3 elements can be possible from these 4, right? So 4C3 combination we are applying here because we are doing the selection here, right? Among the 4 we have to select the 3 elements, right? So 4C3. After solving it out we are getting 4. So 4 subsets are present here with the 3 elements, which are 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2. Except those sets, no one set is present with the 3 elements as a subset. Okay, so I hope it is clear with example. Next is, this is a not actually, you know very well, like it's a subset or equal set, improper subset. We would like if A is a subset of B and A equals to B, values are also same, right? Then it's known as improper subset. If both the values are same, then it is called improper subset. So every set is an improper subset of itself. Mark this point. Every set is an improper subset of itself because same values it is having, right? Next is comparability. What about the comparability actually? Two sets A and B are comparable if one of them is subset of other. Like A is a subset of B, or you can say B is a subset of A. If A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A, then it must A should be equals to B. So what it's mean? If A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A, then both are comparable set. Then equal subset, comparability, both are the different things here. So mark it. So set null is comparable to every set because every set is a comparative to the universal set. So it's a point to note it down, right? Next is same statement you have to prove, like every set is a subset of itself, that we have already cleared, like we have already discussed. Next, A is a subset of B and B is a subset of C. Then you can say transitivity is proof A is also a subset of C. Same thing here, A is equals to C because subset is there, then equals to also true. So A is a proper subset of null. That means equal should not be, A should not be equal. Then you can say A is a empty set. Okay. So how many subsets can be possible? 2 raised to power n elements. Subsets can be possible for the n elements. Out of 2 raised to power n subsets, 2 raised to power n minus 1 that we're removing here will be the proper, and one subset will be the improper set here. That is set itself. Okay. So it was all about types of the sets. Next we have some operations that we can apply over here on the sets. All of you I think aware very well about union, intersection. If you are combining all the elements of two sets and you are writing it into a single set, it is known as union set. Okay, no need to confuse between union and universal set. In universal set everything is there, like if we will study it with through the help of Venn diagram also. So universal set is consist of everything. Union is a just combination of two or more sets itself. Okay, so you can say union of the two sets must belong to the universal set. It's okay to say, but both are not the same things. Okay, so it's a part of the universal set, not same union. Okay, so next is intersection of set. Intersection of set is indicating like if A and B are the two sets, whatever the number of elements present in the sets, something or some element should be common in between the sets A and B. Okay, so it was all about the intersection of the set. Difference, that means you have to subtract A minus B. A is any set, B is any set, and you have to subtract, right? So what it means, there is an element like X belongs to A and X not belongs to B, that you have to write in the A minus B. So A B C D is there, D L M N is there. So D is present in both. So common element, ignore it. Whatever is not the common element and belongs to A only, that you have to write over here. Except this, whatever the element present in B, you have to neglect them. Okay, so what it's mean actually, with the help of Venn diagram, if I'm indicating it, A is that part and B is that part. So remove that one part, whatever is remaining here, like whatever is common in between A and B, remove that part, and whatever is remaining is known as the subtraction or difference of two sets. Okay, so what about the complement? Complement says subtract the actual set from the universal set. Whatever you got, that will be the complement of A of that set. Okay, so whatever is the element of the complement of A, it should not be the element of A itself. Okay, so next is symmetric difference. Symmetric difference is indicating like symbol is this, and if you are subtracting A union B, the minus A intersection B, whatever is the complete combination of the A and B sets and whatever is common in between them, you have to exclude the common things from here. So A is a set which consists of A, B, C, D elements. Here A, B, L, K. So here A minus B will be, there is a difference, A minus B will be C, comma D, right? And what about the symmetric difference? Symmetric difference will be like whatever is left over, you have to write all, like C, D from set A and L, comma K is from set B. It's a symmetric difference and this one is difference. I hope it is clear to all. Next we have algebra of sets, in which we have some properties that we have to discuss here, like idempotent. It's very clear to get it over here, like idempotent, associativity and all. So in idempotent law, we have like A is a single set that is available and we are doing union of that set, we are getting the same set. Same for the intersection. So we have to apply each and every property on union and intersection itself and complement itself, right? So if associativity, it's very simple to know, like it will give the same answer. I hope you are aware about it very well. Commutative, if you are doing like union of A and B, either you can do union of A and B or B union A. Both will give the same things here. Same for distributive, here union is distributive over intersection and intersection distributive over union. De Morgan's law is using the complement theorem actually. So it's important to generalize these theorems because it may be possible in exams. There will be the question to prove the theorems or whatever is the statements that is written here. So A union B is complemented by like A intersection A complement, then intersection B complement. So we have applied this, distribute this complement operation and changed the things like A is changed with the A complement, union is changed with the intersection, and B replaced by B complement over here. Okay, so complement is distributed here in the De Morgan's law. In identity law, if you are doing union and intersection of a set with the null set or universal set, then while doing the union of the A set with the null set, you are getting the same set itself. If you are doing intersection, you are getting the same set itself, because if universal set is available here, then A is a part of that element. That means intersection of union universal set or A is the A itself. So same as this that is shown here. Next is complement law. If you're complementing a set and you're doing union, what it's mean, whatever is present in both of them, it will make the complement of the set. And same for the intersection will make like null. nothing should be common in between the set and its intersection. And always remember, universal set complement is null set, and null set complementation is universal set. Next, alternate representative of set are, if you are having the A minus B, you can represent it like A intersection B, B complement. What it's mean, I've already told you what it is. If you have A set and you have B set, what it's mean, complement B complement. B complement is, this is universal set. I'm assuming it universal set. If you're combining all the elements of A and B, it will be union of the two sets. Next, this is the A intersection B. Now we are doing what? B is what? B is, we are taking here as A minus B as a, take one side, left hand side, and then again take right hand side to prove it. Okay, so A union B complement. B complement, first you have to evaluate whatever is left over here, that is B complement, including A. Whatever is there is A complement B here, right? Sorry, B complement here. So this common part will come here? No, it will not come here. It will not come here. So what it's mean, you have to find the, these are the elements now to cover, right? So what could be the common, what should be the common in between them? Huh? What should be the common in between them? This part. So we have to calculate it as a subtraction. Okay, so this is the absorption and involution law. It was all about the properties, algebraic properties that we have studied here. This is a proof, like we have proved the associativity here. You can also prove other ones, are, you can take the screenshot, and I'm just telling you the one left over, you can do practice yourself. Just assume the one element X here, and it belongs to the left hand side. First take the left hand side, then distinguish it like X belongs to A. Here union means or we are taking, right? And or X belongs to B. Union means or you have to write X belongs to C. So just to focus on the braces should not be disturbed, so it matters a lot. Just removing the braces here and writing it in the same manner, just taking the part left hand side separate with the leftover part and put the braces on the right hand side, and in order this we have proved the left hand side equals to right hand side. Same manner, take the right hand side and prove the left hand side. So it was the proof for the property. Same, you have the proofs for the commutative property also, you can try yourself. The next is associativity regarding this is distribution property, intersection over union and union over intersection. In the same manner, wherever intersection is used, you have to use the AND keyword. Wherever the union is used, you have to use the OR keyword. Baki, whatever is left over, like same, in same manner we have to prove these things. Okay, next is De Morgan's, most important to learn, like how to implement this De Morgan's law, how to prove. So take the left hand side and let's assume an element that belongs to the left hand side, and we are saying that after removing the complement, X should not belongs to the A union B, right? So what it's mean, if I'm taking here A belongs to, X belongs to A and X not belongs to B, so AND is using here. Next is X belongs to A complement and X belongs to B complement. So X is the element which belongs to the A complement intersection B complement, because this AND is indicating the intersection here, right? So here left and right to right hand side is proved. In the same manner you can prove the right hand side to take the left hand side. Okay, so it was all about the set theory. Next we have multisets. Multisets is an unordered collection of elements. There are no any ordered, like repetition of the elements can also be possible, right? So like for example, A is a set which consists of these elements in the repeated mode. B is also an element which consists of elements in the repeated mode. So there are some operations that you can apply. Same operation you can also apply on the multiset. So if A is an element, B is an element, so A union B will be all the elements you have to write. No need to check like it is repeating or not repeating. So L L M M triple N is there, right? So next is intersection of multiset. Same manner you have to find the common things and differentiate it. The next is sum of multisets. Sum of multisets is an element which is equal to the sum of multiplicities of elements in A and B. Okay, so you can sum two sets multi-sets over here. A plus B, if any element is coming again, you can add it, you can write it, there is no any problem. So L, 3 times are there, 2 times here, 2 times here, 3 times I have written here. So M, 1, 2, 3 times is M is there, I have written it here 3 times, 2 times N, 2 times P, and 3 times R is there. So we are combining the elements of the A and B without like repetition is allowed here. So next is cardinality of multiset. Cardinality will remain same, like 3 individual elements are present in the set. So cardinality is set A. So of the multiset. Ordinality, orders of ordered pair. It's important because this concept will use in the relation also, that we will discuss in the next lecture. So ordered pair is what is the ordered pair? It consists of 2 elements such that one of them is designed as the first member and other as the second member. For example, here A comma B. A is indicating the first member, B is indicating the second member itself. So here it's possible like to find out if the set is a subset, proper subset of A, then it's possible to find the ordered pairs of A cross A. What do you mean by A cross A? A cross A is also known as Cartesian product. You can apply the Cartesian product itself with the set. Like I have written here 1 1 1 2 2 1 and 2 2. So what it means, each and every element of this set A must relate to the itself, which will create the Cartesian product. So first element, you can apply the same thing on a single set also or onto the different sets also. So Cartesian product of the two sets indicating here, like A and B are the two different sets here which consist of values like 1 2 3 is for A and 4 5 6 for B. So I'm just applying the Cartesian product over here, like 1 4. I'm making this as an ordered pair. So this one is a ordered pair here, 1 4 combination. 1 5, one more ordered pair. So collection of ordered pairs is known as the Cartesian product itself. So all the possible Cartesian like ordered pair I have mentioned over here, right? So next is how to prove these properties of the Cartesian product by assuming some xy elements, taking the left hand side and proving the right hand side, and conversely we have to take the right hand side and prove the left side. Put the intersection, wherever is the intersection put the and wherever is the union put the or. So by following this concept you can solve it out yourself. So some are the practice problems are given and notes are there to note it down, like cross product of A cross B and B cross A. Both are different until and unless both are equal. If they are equal, then it may possible both can be same, otherwise it will be different. So if A and B are finite sets, the number of A cross B Cartesian product consists of same number of A element, number of B set element, right? So it doesn't matter. So it will not matter. A cross B is equals to null. Then you can say both are the empty sets, right? So these are some properties that you can use over there to understand these things. Okay. So what about the next thing is Venn diagram. What about the Venn diagram over here? These are the practice problems that you can do the practice yourself. I'm just lecture about the Venn diagram. So up to now you have to cover all these things. I'm just giving you this screen to take the screenshot in order to do the practice for the questions. So do the practice for the same. Okay. So see you in the next lecture. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you. Have a nice day.